I'm going to try and introduce you to a new mental model for your entire React application as a function in only 5 minutes, so no big deal there. In order to do so, I need to establish some sort of connection. I'm from Minnesota. It's right there. I work for this company. Here's a picture of my dog. I actually don't have a dog, but hey, done. JSX is the best template language in the world. Raise your hands. Yeah, all of you who raised your hands, you're probably not thinking in functions. It's the best JavaScript extension in the world, yeah. So I want you to think that your entire UI, your features, your routing, everything is the product of a series of function invocations with some props. Your app is what is returned and not what is actually invoking these functions. So to demonstrate what I mean in the next 4 minutes, I'm going to build my lovely application that you see here. Now, this is probably a typical way that one might build this feature in React. You have these sort of application-specific presentation components, or DOM components, right? And then you have something like send message at the top, which you are connecting with React Redux, using Redux. This is all well and good. It definitely works. But I'm going to introduce you to this different approach. And what you can do is you can look at, if you look at just the green layer, your entire UI could conceptually be rendered as a pure function. A single pure function could render your entire application UI, but it would do nothing. All right? So that's the base layer there. Then you build up vertically. The vertical layers are higher order components. I want to talk about abstraction. So when we have third-party dependencies, we almost always abstract them, and then we refer to those abstractions rather than the base dependency, right? Why do we do this? We do it for code reuse. We do it to hide complexity, add functionality, merge two things together, add enforced usage, right? But React-provided components are a third-party dependency. Why do we not do this? So when you build these abstractions, you're basically creating your own type of HTML. You're building a suite of application-agnostic Lego blocks, as was mentioned before, that are semantic. They're not actually the description of your app. They're like HTML, right? So they don't know about the app that you're building or your company. So don't use low-level HTML and React Native components everywhere. Once you build these abstractions, leverage them. So quick warning, there will be bright colors, and I'm going very quickly. So step one, presentational components. It's the low-level thing here. So we're going to build this text input. It's very straightforward. So we're importing the React Native text input, and we're exporting our own, right? So this is a very straightforward wrap. Next, we get some additional requirements. We need to add a placeholder. We're going to add some styles. Now, just as was mentioned previously, now you refer to this text input component that you've written and never refer to the base React Native text input again. This is your abstraction layer that you get to own. Step two, we're going to add some functionality via higher order components. Quick note about higher order components. It's simply a function that takes a React component and returns a new component. HOCs are composable, and I'll show you an example of this. But the best thing about them is that they allow for a separation between functionality and presentation. So one of the core features of a higher order component is that they do prop manipulation. So an example of this is React Redux's connect function, as I mentioned. So I'm going to build this particular text input message stack. So looking again at the low level, we have our text input component, which you saw before. It has placeholder value and onChange as props being taken in. That's our API. So now let's build connect. So connect is going to take in a component that's called wrap component and return it. This is a higher order component example, which does nothing. Next, we're going to take in two arguments, one state props, one dispatch props, and these are functions which we will invoke with the store state and store dispatch, and then spread the returned props back onto our wrapped component. This actually works as a replacement for React Redux's connect function, and it's like 6 lines. The one thing that's missing, though, is that it's not actually subscribing. It won't re-render when state changes. So we can hook into our lifecycle events here, and our wrapped component will then get re-rendered anytime anything changes. So adding on keyboard events, you can basically write your own React connect function. Here's an example of now using more than one higher order component, and then you have keyboard events, and you can actually write compose.
Thank you.